Hello, my name's Mary, and I'm coming to you from the children's room at the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. And today we're going to continue reading Lulu and the Dog from the Sea by Hilary McKay. The book was published in 2011 by Albert Whitman Company. Chapter 2, The Dog from the Sea. I would like to know much, much more about the dog from the sea, said Lulu. There was no sign of him in the sand dunes, nor on the wide, windy beach. No dog with paper bag ears splashed in the pools by the breakwaters or raced across the golf course where no dogs were allowed. But as they got nearer to the town end of the beach, they heard news. The ice cream and hot dog stand knew him very well. They had lost more than one sausage to his thieving ways. The lady from the bucket and shovel shop said, "Shocking." What else could you say about a dog who helped himself to the most expensive sort of wooden-handled shovel, who lifted it from its box by the postcard stand, galloped off with it, clamped in his jaws, chewed it to shreds, left the bits on the sand, and came back tail wagging for another? But where did he come from? Asked Lulu. He came from the back of the Golden Lotus, said the lady from the bucket and shovel shop. Now, the Golden Lotus was a Chinese restaurant. There was a whole street of little restaurants in the town, Indian and Chinese and Italian and Thai, and a fish and chip shop at the end. And behind the shops was a small, messy space full of crates and boxes, trash cans, recycling bins, and other things like old fridges waiting to be taken away. It was a big, untidy muddle, the shop lady told Lulu. And in the most untidy bit of the muddle, under a pile of crates and cardboard boxes behind the Golden Lotus, the mother of the dog from the sea had made a den. 3 puppies had been born in that den: the dog from the sea and the dog from the sea's 2 sisters. All through the spring, they lived together, a wild and happy life. In the daytime, they slept, all flung in a warm heap under the crates. At night, they went hunting with their mother. She was a very clever dog, and she knew all the places to find things to eat. Seaside towns with hungry visitors have lots of spare food, either thrown into trash cans or dropped on the streets. The mother dog taught her 3 puppies how to crawl under the fence near the fairground to get to the large garbage bins. She showed them how to push over a trash can and how to chase a seagull from a handful of chips. She showed her wild family every single thing it was possible for a dog to eat. What good dogs, thought Lulu as she listened. What a lot of cleaning up they had done. People should have been very grateful, she thought. But people were not grateful, not even at the Golden Lotus, where the dogs cleared up most of all. They sent for the dog catcher. 2 dog catchers came, a very tall man and a very tall woman. They spoke to the dogs with kind voices. First, they caught the two sisters. They put them in two cages where they howled and cried so loudly their mother came to rescue them. That made it easy for the dog catchers to catch her as well. Very soon, there were 3 dogs in 3 cages. The last of the wild dog family watched in horror. He did not know what happened to a dog after it was caught in a cage. He'd never heard of vets or rescue homes or the friendly people who visit them and say, "That's the dog for me." All he knew was what he saw and heard. His sisters crying, his mother frantic, tearing at the cage. He watched, but he watched from a distance. He guessed they had a cage for him too, and he was right, they did. But they could not get him into it. When the dog catchers turned to the last wild dog and spoke in their kind voices, the wild dog ran for his life. He ran to the sand dunes, and there he hid. That was how the wild dog became the dog from the sea. For a long time, he would sneak back to the crate pile behind the golden lotus, just in case the dog catchers had changed their minds and allowed his family to come back. But at last he gave up hope. He lived among the sand dunes, a wild, hungry life. He stole all he could, and he ate whatever he could swallow, and sometimes it made him ill, and sometimes it made him stronger. He got used to that. He got used to the long, thirsty waits to drink from the stream that crossed the golf course or from the kiddie pool near the town. He got used to cold winds and the thorns and the gray bushes, but he never got used to being alone. The dog from the sea was terribly lonely. As the weather grew warmer, more and more people came to the beach, grown-up people and children. Now, the dog from the sea kept away from the grown-ups in case they had cages, but he watched the children. He was tremendously interested in the games they played and the holes they dug and the balls they threw. He watched from the sand dunes, wagging his tail, bouncing with excitement when they yelled at the waves, drooling as they ate their picnics. When the beach emptied at nighttime, he inspected the places where they'd been. Sometimes he found a lost toy. These he carried away as if they were great treasures. The sand dunes were dotted with shoes and burst balls and other things he had found. The dog catchers did not forget the dog from the sea. Every now and then, they would return and try to catch him. They never could. The dog was too good at hiding, and the sand dunes were too huge. The little sandy paths wound through them like paths in a maze. The dog from the sea knew them all. Every tangled path in the grass, every tunnel beneath the bushes, every secret sandy hollow, every lookout place. One of the lookout places was right above the little white cottage. The dog from the sea depended on the cottage. Roasted chickens lived in the kitchen there, and whole boxes of dog biscuits lay unguarded on the grass. There was a trash can, like a treasure chest, too. Sometimes it vanished at night, but sometimes it didn't. It depended on who was staying in the cottage. On Saturday night, right before Lulu's father went to bed, he stepped outside and breathed a deep breath. There was a lovely smell of sea air and short, green grass. There was a lovely smell of something else. "I'm not," said Lulu's father. I'm just not taking that trash can into the house at night." Chapter 3, Sunday. When Lulu and Melly woke up on Sunday morning, there, right outside the window, was Lulu's father. He had a trash bag and a pointy stick, and Lulu's seaside shovel for scooping. There was garbage all over the garden, not just the little bit of garbage that Lulu's family had thrown away, but also everything left behind from the people who had stayed in the cottage the week before. "The dog from the sea must have come to visit," said Lulu, and she was pleased. "He made an awful mess," said Melly. "Perhaps we'll have to take the trash into the house at night after all," said Lulu's mother at breakfast time, but she wrinkled her nose as she spoke. "Absolutely not," said Lulu's father. "I've thought of what to do. I'll get some big rocks from the beach and use them as weights on the lid of the can." "You're not supposed to do that," said Lulu. "There's a sign on the beach that says, 'No stones or rocks to be taken away.'" "I won't take them away," said Lulu's father. "I'll just borrow them for a little while." "Will you put them back?" asked Melly. "Of course." "Carry them right across the sand dunes back to the beach?" "Absolutely." "And put them exactly where you found them? How will you remember?" "I'll draw a map." "What if someone sees you?" said Lulu. "Even if you draw a map, and even if you take them back, and even if they're only borrowed, you'll still look like a rock burglar." For a moment, Lulu's father looked rather sad. He didn't want to look like a rock burglar. Then he had a good idea. "I'll smuggle them under my shirt or hidden in a bag. I'll locate the rocks, draw a map, mark their positions, borrow them, borrow, not take, and then I'll smuggle them across the sand dunes and use them on the trash can lid." Lulu's father looked very happy at this thought. He was pleased to have an excuse to do some smuggling on his seaside vacation. "It will be good for my fitness training," he said. "I've decided to run the next marathon. This vacation, I'm going to do push-ups and weights and a lot of running. Anyone who likes can come with me." "This vacation, I'm going to read and read," said Lulu's mother. "I never get time to read at home. I've brought 6 books, 1 for each day, and War and Peace for a spare. Anyone who likes can borrow the ones I'm not reading. This vacation, I'm going to make my kite perfectly," said Melly. "Every part perfect, like the picture on the box. Anyone who likes can help me." "This vacation," said Lulu, "I'm going to find the dog from the sea, make friends with him, tame him so that he doesn't run away," and that was as much as Lulu managed to say before everyone started talking at once, saying what a bad idea they thought it was and how it could never happen, and even if it did, what then? It wouldn't be kind to the dog from the sea to make friends with him and tame him. He would have to be left behind at the end of the week anyway. "Why?" asked Lulu. "What about the more the merrier, as long as I clean up after them?" "That's hamsters, and goldfish and rabbits and things, her mother told her, not dogs. Think of Sam. Sam would hate it, said Lulu's father. He's an only dog sort of dog. That was true. Sam could put up with parrots, and he really liked goldfish. He didn't mind guinea pigs. He was only slightly annoyed by hamsters and rabbits. But dogs he could not stand. Sam thought dogs were smelly and noisy and greedy. They were his least favorite animals, even worse than cats. Sam didn't know and would never have guessed that he was a dog himself. But who'll look after the dog from the sea? Asked Lulu. Someone, said her mother. Not us, said her father. And then both of them said, not sensible, not going to happen, not even slightly possible. Lulu did not argue. She had found that arguing only made people argue back. It was better, she thought, to do exactly as you liked, quietly, with no fuss. Besides, what did her crazy family know about possible and impossible? As if it were even slightly possible that her father would ever run a marathon, or that her mother would read 6 books in 6 days, ending with War and Peace, which she had been trying to read ever since before Lulu was born. Or even that Melly would perfectly finish her kite, which was already spread all over the living room floor with the string and knots and the instructions missing. Never mind, said Melly. I never bother with boring instructions anyway. How can you make it without instructions? Wondered Lulu. I'll just copy the picture on the box. It'll take ages. Not if you help, said Melly, looking around to make sure Lulu's parents were out of the way, and adding, you help me with my kite, and I'll help you with the dog from the sea. Lulu thought about how much she liked Melly, who never thought anything was impossible. I'll help you as soon as we come back from the beach, she promised. The way to the beach was straight out the door and over the sand dunes. A path of soft sliding sand climbed up and down, a leg-aching sort of path. We should have brought camels, said Lulu's father, as they slipped and dropped things and tumbled over Sam, who kept stopping for rests where people were about to walk. Lulu was looking out for the dog from the sea. She'd filled her pockets with dog biscuits before she left the cottage. Now, she lagged behind the others and scattered them along the path as she walked. Just in case, thought Lulu. Not many people came to their end of the beach. Most of the other families on vacation were far away. The umbrellas and picnic blankets where they had set up their camps looked like tiny, bright patches in the distance. Lulu's family made a camp, too, a very large one, because there seemed to be so many things they could not do without. Books and shovels and training weights, the frisbee and the towels, the picnic blanket and the picnic things, the windscreen because Sam did not like chilly breezes, Sam's beanbag so that he could snooze in comfort, and of course his dog food dish and his water bowl and a big bottle of water. And that's where we will end our reading today. We've been reading Lulu and the Dog from the Sea by Hilary McKay. The book was published in 2011 by Albert Whitman Company. My name's Mary, and I'm coming to you from the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. And we'll be back next time to finish reading the book. Until then, bye-bye.